Regular council meeting to order. Matt, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Missing my, that's what happens when summer, even preachers take a vacation. Just keep in your prayers tonight, in your thoughts, the 3 Boy Scouts that we lost today. Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order.
Yesterday, 3 Boy Scouts were killed up in northeastern Ohio.
Yeah. Sailboat struck a power line, and we lost 3 Boy Scouts.
Killed the car.
Okay, roll call, please.
Powell,
Here.
Hayes. Here. Barstow,
Here.
Lee. Hicken,
Here.
Walther,
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum present. First thing on the agenda tonight is citizens' comments. Would anybody wish to speak? Yes, ma'am. Name, address, what's for dinner, and you have 5 minutes.
Eileen Duroff, 12520 Refugee Road, Pataskala, Ohio, and I've already eaten. At any rate, you're on your own.
Okay.
Some things can't be said too often. So while I have said it, I haven't said it for a while. I have reason to talk to people around the state who are trying to affect their local governments, and they are often just shut out of the process in a rather vicious, ruthless way, frankly. So I want to thank you all for the fact that you give us 5 minutes at the beginning and 3 minutes at the end, and you're always very gracious about accepting those comments. Having said that, I went...
You have 1 minute.
Charming. I wish I knew your mother. I'd have her. Thank you. Okay. At any rate, last week I had the opportunity to go to a planning and zoning meeting where the many variances were being requested for a parcel just a stone's throw from my house. And one of the variances that they wanted to put a 600% increase in the number of houses on the property, which was just pretty appalling to all of us in that neck of the woods. However, I just want to tell you that the planning and zoning folks handled that situation very, very well and called out all the points of concern. And at the same time, afterwards, they were very gracious at letting us come up and speak too. So again, that's how this process is supposed to work, but sadly it doesn't work everywhere. So again, I thank you for having it happen here.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak tonight? Okay. Introduction, discussion, and approval of consent agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Barstow.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Hicken. Any discussion? And Kathy, roll please.
Powell,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Barstow,
Yes.
Lee. Hicken,
Yes.
Walther,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Okay, consent agenda passes on to reports. I just have, I'll be asking for a motion tonight towards the end of the meeting or whenever we do motions. One of our Boy Scout groups, and I've been trying to encourage the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts to take advantage of our, especially Foundation Park, because we've had good luck with council waiving and giving permission for them to camp. And we have a group that's working on some merit badges and would like to camp out at Foundation Park on the Power Show side, obviously, not to disrupt the other areas of the park, on the 12th and the 13th of August. So I'll be looking for a motion for that tonight. In our final stages, I know Alan's been working very hard on this, the River Roundup. We've been pretty heavily involved. We're even more heavily involved now that Alan stepped in September 9th. We're going to, and Matt's here, so thank you, Matt. We're taking another section this year from Foundation Park down to the Dairy Hut. Normally we've started at the Dairy Hut and worked our way down towards the pool. but we're going to try another section this year, and we've got a lot of volunteers lined up, and GT Tire has agreed to take all the tires that we may find, and Dairy Hut's going to feed us, and it's going to be a fun day. So if you guys would like to join us, September 9th, I'll get you all the details, and thanks, Alan, for working with the, is that Soil and Water or Soil and Water? Denise Brooks? Okay. Yeah, we've had great success with that over the years, and I think Shackelford is donating the dumpster, and Rona Homes is graciously given us their area down there to use as a staging area, so we're in good shape for that. Street fair coming up. I'm sure there'll be a lot of discussion about that tonight. And don't forget Cookout with a Cop on August 26th. Mr. Hicken.
Well, you took two of my things. I was going to remind everybody about Cookout with a Cop, and certainly I hope everybody is safe, and I hope that the community as a whole comes out and enjoys a wonderful street fair. Looking forward to that. I live fairly close to it, to that area of the city. So it's always been a fun time for my family, and I know I look forward to it every year. If you read some of the reports, this is another kind of a bug in the ear of council, or anybody else for that matter. We have a number of board and commissions that may have some vacancies coming up. I don't know if those people on those boards are going to ask to continue, and if so, obviously we'll say thank you, but be thinking about people that you might know that might have an aptitude for zoning or PBR as you're going through, just as you're talking to people. And the other thing I was going to mention, it follows up on the River Roundup. I know I have been in Mr. Haynes' office several times asking questions about the issues of flooding and stuff in the city, and cleaning up a creek is an ideal way to certainly help the city with runoff issues. And so anybody that is, and I also have a background, and I've walked a lot of creeks throughout the state of Ohio, and you see cars and tires and stuff like that. So anybody that donates time to help with the River Roundup, I'm grateful for in a number of ways. And that's all for me.
Mr. Zatz.
Actually, I just have a quick little update on the medical marijuana, because I found this pretty interesting. I don't know if you'd follow. It has nothing to do with the city of Pataskos, but just in general in the state, there were 185 applications for the 24 growing facilities in the state of Ohio. So I don't know how sure not sure how the state's going to score those, but there were 185 applications. The latest little twist is that some of the latest rules that came out, or the way they were finalized, were the testing facilities for when you're following when the program rolls out. The testing facilities had to be done by a institution of higher learning. It's a institution of higher education that is public, located within the state of Ohio, with the resources to do that. I heard a story this morning that so far there are no educations of higher learning in Ohio that want to have any part of this. So there's a question as to whether or not the program was going to have difficulty rolling out in September of 2018 if you had growers and processors but no one to test it to finally get it to a distribution facility. So in the world of medical marijuana, that's the latest I heard today.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Brian? Mr. King?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. In Nate's absence, I do want to inform council that last week, Nate and I met with a representative from the AEP Energy Efficiency Program, talk about what they have to offer and how that could potentially benefit the utilities department, since they are our largest electricity user. We got information from there, and we're doing some inventory and taking a look at what we have as far as lighting and motors and everything, and I do anticipate coming to council at some point requesting to participate in that. It provides up to 50% funding for upgrades. Not only would it be the 50% up front, but over time we'd certainly save on money as well. And Nate uses a tremendous amount of his budget for electricity costs. We are in the process of implementing the auto call system that we've talked about, got the proposal, and we're going to be splitting that between departments who are going to be using it, and that'll, within the next couple of weeks, there'll be a link sent out on our website. We're going to put it on the utility bills and get it out every way we can for people to sign up for it. It's a cool system. We can identify certain areas that we want to call. We can call the entire whoever signs up. If it's downtown or if it's the west side, we can identify where the needs to be, and residents can be able to sign up for different types of information as well, whether they're weather alerts that the company actually pushes out for us. If there's tornado warnings or anything, they'll go ahead and send it out. So looking forward to it. We're going to get some additional training on it, and within the next couple weeks, you'll see that start to roll out. Street Fair is coming up. Please keep in mind that the city does have a booth. I believe Jess may have sent out the sign-up sheet to everybody, so I'll have her send out a reminder if people can sign up to do that. Staff will also be spending time in there, and along with the street fair, as we continue to try to improve upon it, as we grow, new residents, we'll be letting. There is a telephone number that's been provided by the Fire Association that we're going to be able to use to give to people if they have questions. We get a lot of calls during the street fair asking questions that we just don't know the answers to. It could be, how much are the wristbands for rides? We don't know. So we certainly have a number now that'll get out. And we're also going to be letting people along Main Street know about the improvements we made, what that means for them. They don't necessarily have to allow people to tie into their water. We have facilities down there to permit that. So I'm looking forward to Street Fair. It's always a fun time. It is one event I think that we have that ties the entire city together, brings people from the west and the east side together. So hoping for good weather. It's usually pretty warm for it. The River Roundup, and I usually say this anytime drainage comes up, the River Roundup certainly is going to be beneficial with our annual NPDES permit and report. So we'll be following up and including that in it. And I appreciate Tim mentioning the boards and commission appointments. We're going to be getting the advertisements for those out soon and notifying those who currently serve that their term is going to expire at the end of the year, and making them aware that if they are interested, that they're going to need to submit just like everybody else. So happy to answer any questions.
Anything for BJ? Yes, sir.
I've got one, and I know this is really for Nate. Obviously, the hydraulic modeling study, do you have any idea when that'll be final?
I would say within the next week or two.
Okay.
We got the draft, and Nate and I had an opportunity to sit down. I read it previous weekend. He did the same. We had some questions and just some ways to format it better to make more sense. So I would say within the next week or two.
So you don't think there's any new information necessarily? No different recommendations that they're looking at, or
No different
revising it anyway?
No recommendation are the same. Just layout. I wanted it a little different, so it's a little easier to understand.
Obviously, as this affects the zoning, the rezoning issue, and
does.
the issues that have been brought up by Sugar Run, I'd love to see, or I'm sure everybody would like to see that report, final report, as soon as possible.
Certainly.
Thanks.
Before third reading, we'll have it.
Perfect.
For Sugar Mill.
Yeah, Sugar Mill.
All right. Mr. Nicholson.
Thank you, Mayor. I was in training last week, so I didn't have the opportunity to get you my report, but I did it today at your desk, along with the summary financial report for the month of July. Just a couple things, though. I got word today from the Auditor State's Office that once again we're going to receive the award with distinction. I think that'll be our 8th. So it'll be interesting to see if we're still one of 2 in Lincoln County. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. So that's good news. Not so good news, the telephone system. We were working with KeyTel, and the stick in the mud right now is Spectrum, Time Warner. Shock. We're trying to get the numbers ported, which means move from one system to another. Initially, it was going to be City Hall one day, and another day was going to be police. So then at the last minute, Time Warner said, or Spectrum said, nope, not going to do it. You got to do it all at one day. So that was tomorrow. Well, then we got word that they've denied our porting. So we're working with them. We're trying to get it figured out. This has been really stressful, I think, for Jess and Janice, because literally every call that comes into City Hall hits one of those 2 people, and they have to either forward it to us, get the voicemail message, and pass it along. So it's been really disruptive, and I wish we could have done a little better getting that going. But when you're dealing with utilities, sometimes you're at their mercy. So hopefully here within the next couple of weeks we'll get this wrapped up. I mean, all the handsets are on the desk. It's working really well to the extent that it can be.
Mention why we expedited it.
Well, it's in the report, but it was the lightning strike basically fried every handset. AT&T came in, kept trying, well, let's change this, we'll replace this board and this board and this board, and then finally realized when the lightning strike hit, it literally fried all the handsets. And they're so old we couldn't even get, I mean, they were able to come up with, I think, 3 or 4 handsets that they could loan us, but we couldn't even replace the handset, so we had to expedite the replacement project. So we already were in process, so that was good, but it's not the way you want to run a project is, when you're under the gun. So, that's all I have.
Anything for Jamie? Yes, sir.
I guess I have one question. It's kind of a combo question, but it's since a lightning strike was the cause, is that something we can turn over to insurance? Or did we look into that?
We are documenting all the expenses, and when it's all said and done, we'll sit down with our agent and see what we can get covered under insurance and what can't be.
The secondary part to that was, I think we were already planning on changing out some of those headsets. Is that correct? And this just pushed it?
Well, we had it was an antiquated phone system, so we wanted to go to a VoIP, voice over internet protocol, right? So that they're more efficient, they're less expensive. So we were already starting down the path of doing that. This just forced us to rush through the project.
And then I guess I now have a third thing, and I would,
If I could real quick, just piggyback, our option at that point was to invest in more AT&T equipment that was only going to be temporary, and we'd pay for it, or to expedite the VoIP and get it done, so.
I appreciate that part. Does that mean that we will not have service into the building if the power goes out? My business is sometimes an emergency business, and it seems like when the power goes out, that's when people tend to close a door on an animal or something like that, and they try. If I have voice over internet only, they would have no way to contact us in an emergency situation. So we kept one like landline in, and if we haven't thought about that.
There is in fact, that's what we're using today. There was an analog line that was kept down to the fire station that was for disaster recovery. We would go down to the fire station and be able to, I guess, operate with one phone. I'm not really sure how that would have worked, but at least there was one phone line. So that analog line is what's coming into our system now. That's the one that's hitting Janice, and so I'm assuming we'll probably, it's a good idea. We'll make sure we look
Maintain
into
that.
and have that in there.
Thank you. That's all I have.
You're right. The plain old telephone system sometimes, although it's antiquated, when the power goes out, it generally still works.
Carries its own charge.
Right.
And where are we at with lightning protection for this building?
Have reached out to a couple construction companies and waiting on the quotes for them.
Very good. You had a question, sir?
Jamie, do we still need to schedule a workshop for the budget in September?
September 25th
think it
it's
was
scheduled.
25th, is that what?
Yeah,
Okay, I
it's
was just looking at my
scheduled already.
calendar, I couldn't find it, I wanted to make sure. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, sir. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, no Nate. Alan Haynes.
Sir, a couple things tonight. One, I've got Resolution 2017-053 on tonight's agenda. That is for Prime Engineering to do the CA, Construction Administration and Construction and Inspection for the Columbia Road Culvert Replacement Project. They've been doing a good job for us, and I'd like to move forward with that. Second thing, I got a call this morning about 8:30 from a representative with the railroad. We've been trying to get them to repair the crossing at Township Road, so they're going to do that tomorrow, they told me this morning. We've been on them for so long to do it. Just said, okay, let's do it, and we'll put the sign message boards out this morning, so that'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday if they need it due to weather delays.
Yeah, I saw the piles of gravel there on Sunday, and I was like, yay! As long as it didn't interfere with street fair. They're going to be in and out?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That's their plan as long as the weather cooperates.
Well, that's great news. We've been trying to do that for 6 or 7 years, and they finally, that's great.
Would have liked a little more notice, but I guess they're
Yeah, I'm not going to say come back tomorrow, that's for sure. Thank you. Anything else?
The ramp update, Shelley Company was going to try and get in next week, but with the street fair going on and most of the work being down in the downtown area, we decided to push that off, so they'll be coming in on the 21st, the week after the street fair, to start road repairs and get the paving work done after that. And then finally, the pre-construction meeting for the Columbia Road Bridge north of Broad Street. That'll be this Wednesday, so we should have an update for construction on that in the near future.
Any questions for Alan? Yes, sir.
Alan, on the way in tonight, I noticed some covered-up orange signs near Etna Parkway. Are those street fair detour notices?
I'm not aware of the signs that you're speaking of.
And I spotted them, and I thought, I didn't know if they were detour signs or if they were there. You can see they're orange and they're covered up with black plastic.
I was not aware of those. I will look into it.
I was just curious. You know, the railroad surprised us, and who knows? I do have another question, though. On the, I noticed in your report that the inspection process for septic tanks, how's that coming along? Have there been any problems or anything that you're aware of?
I do not believe so. They had Lincoln County Health Department had a meeting with the folks that they had worked with on Helen and Christy Lee. And that was last Wednesday. I guess about 10 people showed up. In Mr. Brown's words, nobody threw anything at him, so it was a successful meeting.
I just want to make sure that if we heard anything from residents that feel that they aren't being notified or that it's heavy-handed or there's problems,
I have not heard
or
of
with
any.
the health department rather than with fixing septic systems.
No, so far, to my knowledge, it's been successful, and I have not heard any complaints
Okay.
or problems.
We haven't heard anything, and I haven't heard anything from residents for a while since we sent out the notification about the program.
Okay.
And then when we heard, it was just, hey, who do I need to talk to about this? And we direct them to the Lincoln County Health Department.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I know I also took an interest in that because one of the things that came out of the public meetings was individuals able to essentially become certifiers themselves, if that's the right term. They can, and I know that the health department had talked about notifying those individuals that, hey, don't forget, we gave you that opportunity, you decided to avail yourself of it, and you need to get it in. So but you haven't heard anything about that either?
Not specifically. no.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Yes, sir.
I've got a few questions. On the Prime contract, is that one that got bid out, or is that one that's just being awarded per proposal?
I did not bid that out, just awarded per proposal.
Okay. And how many other contracts do they have with the city, do you know of?
They're doing pretty much all of the inspection, and we recently started going with them for the administration on the contracts as well. They're doing all of the developments that have public improvements, so that would be Broadmoor, Legacy Estates. Is there another public one going on right now?
Hazelton?
Moore Farms.
That's not public, though. We're covering that under the general inspection. But that is, there's a general inspection for MS4 and erosion control related things. Settlement 3, that was recent, that one's done. They've been providing great service. It's a nice one point of contact for all the inspection we have going on. Another nice thing about using just them is they're very flexible with our schedule. It seems to be feast or famine at times with these developments. Some days we'll have 3 or 4 going on. Some days there's nothing or 1 going on. So they're able to use 1 or 2 guys to cover just about everything that we have.
So when you're accepting these proposals, what are you using as a benchmark for a reasonable rate? Are they giving you hourly rates in these proposals, or are these? I see them as not to exceed numbers, but what kind of format are you getting these proposals in?
Hourly rates with hourly not to exceed.
Okay. I got another couple questions on the projects that are coming up. We're going to have Shelley out there doing roadways. We're going to have Taylor culvert that got pushed back due to a delay in the lead time for the concrete. We've got Columbia culvert happening. How are you getting this information out to? Obviously, we're going to have quite a bit of construction happening here late August, September, October timeframe. How are you getting this information out to the residents?
We've been using Facebook and the website. Jess has been working with me on that. We actually put notice out for the ramp, but of course that was supposed to start a few weeks back, so we have not updated that. Probably should, but that's the plan: is message boards and then notification on Facebook and the website.
In those notifications, are those durations in there too? Like, for instance, the culvert on Columbia Road. Are you giving them an estimated time frame for that to be closed?
Plan to, yes.
Okay, so that's not out there yet?
No, it's not. That one is still being. We're working through the contract documents, so we don't have a schedule on that yet.
Okay. I just think that's pretty important so people can plan their fall around the orange barrels. Next, I've got a couple more, if that's all right, Mayor.
Just one more.
2 more, please.
Just kidding.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The anticipated date for the 50% plans for Oak Meadow. You have any idea when we're going to see those?
I think that we can determine that based on when we want to have the next streets committee meeting. We decided it was.
Well, I'm doing it the other way. You tell me when we're going to hit the 50%, and I'll have the street committee meeting.
How about 1 month? So not the next meeting, but the following.
Okay, by mid-September?
I think that's reasonable.
Okay. Okay, so we'll go ahead and, that's when I'll plan it for, we'll talk to the street committee. All right, I lied, I had 2 more. We talked about Mill Street, the culvert on Mill, not being done this year. Has anybody gotten hold of the McGowans? I know that was one of Tommy's, issues about getting hold of the McGowans to let them know that we're not gonna be doing that this year.
I have not. I will put that, make sure that I get to that.
Okay.
I've still been dealing with a lot of resident issues from the flooding. So that's been taking up a lot of my time.
I understand, but they'll be interested in knowing whether they're gonna have a driveway there or not for a while. And then the Foundation Park septic tank. Can you tell me why we're getting into soccer season again? Is there any way, I mean, that was scheduled for this year. I hope we're not trying to do that during soccer.
Honestly, I've had so much going on that has just been low on the priority list for me.
Okay, just to let you know, the leak is getting worse into the tank. It's having to be pumped more.
Okay.
So just, I know it's something that you guys wanted to do and get done. And I know you've noted in here that it's an issue coordinating with Licking County Health. Is there anything left with Licking County Health to do?
No, at this point, it's putting together some documentation to give to a few select contractors and have an on-site meeting with them and get proposals from that.
All right, I got one more.
That's
If anybody else wants to go, they can go. But probably my least favorite contract is the storm basin maintenance contract. I know we're talking about looking at those. We had to go find all our storm basins, and then we had to come up with a maintenance plan. Do we have a maintenance plan at this point?
No, it's actually in my court right now to review and verify the locations that they've provided that all of these stormwater basins are.
With as much rain and everything we're having, I think that would have been expedited to try to get those basins maintenanced during the summer. We're now in August, so that was my least favorite contract of the year, I think. So,
Fair
thanks.
enough. It is. It's definitely on the list.
All right, very good. Thanks, Alan.
And one of his first questions was notifying residents about, are we also letting the schools know for bus reasons about Columbia and the others?
Here's the plan. Like I said, we haven't contacted them yet because we don't know the schedule. But yes, that is the plan for all of Taylor, Columbia, the culvert and the bridge.
I will say the schools, post office, fire, police, always notified of any of those interruptions, always.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just if I might add, they're very busy putting their routes together now. So that heads up would probably be helpful. So they can prepare in advance. They have some new staff in there, so little notice.
Mr. Barstow.
Mr. Haynes, I was remiss in not thanking you for working with the renters there next to my homeowners association. I've talked to them. The problem appears to have been abated, and working with the builder with Mid-Ohio to get that drainage situation taken care of. They seem to be very happy. I saw the wife, I think Friday morning, and she seemed to be really, really pleased. So I would rather look at that too. It doesn't appear to be any more. You can tell when it gets flooded because there's silt and mud and everything everywhere. So thank you. Great.
Mid-Ohio was very good to work with on
Good.
that. So
Okay,
we
I'm
got
glad.
that taken care of.
Glad to hear it. Great.
Nice job.
Thank you, Alan. Scott.
Thank you, Mayor. An update on ordinance 2017-4290, that's the rezoning for the daycare outside Sugar Mill. I spoke with the applicant's attorney, Ms. Klima. They are pursuing doing a traffic study in regards to that proposed rezoning. They don't have it as of yet, but they do plan on having that at the time of the next council meeting. And the correspondence I had with Ms. Klima is attached to my report. Also, based upon the recommendation of the Development Committee, there's 3 pieces of legislation moving forward for code amendments. The first one will be addressing accessory buildings. We still have a number of variances needed for those, so we have tweaked the regulations to address the number of variances that are being required. That will appear for a public hearing before council on September 5th. Also, we have the food truck regulations and neighbor notices that will go to Planning and Zoning Commission at the next meeting, which will be September 6th. At that point, following the recommendation from Planning Commission, the public hearing will be scheduled for council. That will have to take place at least 30 days following the recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission, so arguably that should be sometime in October. And we have to answer any questions.
Mr. Walton?
Scott, I did review the draft ordinance for the accessory buildings, and I thought we had talked a little bit about looking into some, amending some of the setbacks, rather than having the straight setbacks from what was in code. With a larger building, we had talked about potentially having that be a greater setback.
Not that I recall. I think if we go into the greater setbacks, we would go back to the need for variances for setbacks, which is what prompted the initial revision for the accessory building regulations, because we were having a lot of problems with setback variances. So while we addressed that, there were other ones that popped up. So from my recollection, that was not a note I had made.
Okay, I had it different in my notes. I guess I talked about having those with a bigger building, the larger building being away from the property line would be a higher value to the neighboring property. But if that's not something that council wants to look at, that's fine. I'm
And we
just
can
bringing it up.
certainly address that during the public hearing.
Okay.
Anything else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, do you want to go again, Andrew?
Go ahead, I'll wait.
I took interest in looking at the new format that you've put for your projects in your report. It's kind of the green arrow that turns to yellow and then red. And as I was looking at those, it seems I just wanted to ask you, green is finished, yellow is in the process, and red is haven't. There was at least one in there where engineering was continuing in the yellow, but the plan had been finished. Does that happen every once in a while?
It does happen every once in a while, particularly with some of the older subdivisions that they might have been, the final plan might have been approved 10 years ago, and then they come in to construct it, but we take another look at the engineering to make sure it meets current specifications. So sometimes they'll have an approved plan, but they'll be redoing or revising engineering drawings, so it will happen from time to time. Ultimately, the goal is, once we get the subdivision regulations amended, it will be more linear.
Okay.
And that one step will lead to the other, but as we go through that process and folks continue to dust off some old plans, we'll see that where the plan will be approved and then we're doing engineering, or both will be at the same time. So kind of once we get through those old plans and the subdivision regulations amended, I think it'll be a more linear process than it is currently.
Thank you.
Just talking about the rezoning and the traffic study. In Connie's response, she says that she provided you guys the old traffic study. Have you guys had a chance to look at that?
She has not. In my conversations with her, she said she was able to come across it, and I said, would you please provide that to us so we could take a look? Then she said that she would provide that as part of a response letter to the traffic study that they're getting prepared, other comments from residents. So we have not yet received that. Had I received that, I definitely
Okay,
would pass
I was
that
just,
along.
that was going to be my question, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
So,
we have
obviously,
yet
if you haven't
received
seen
that,
it
but
yet.
as soon as we get that, we'll get that out to council as a whole.
Okay, thanks.
And this is a follow-up right on that, and it has to do with, I read that letter as well, and I'm trying to figure out if that is a true traffic study. Usually when you bring traffic studies to us, they seem to have taken place over a longer length of time. Like, I don't, so we're talking about having a traffic study before the third reading, and that doesn't seem to be the length of time that we usually see traffic studies for and we don't see them a lot, but if you put them in a report or something, it's like, so does that mean that they're going to look at a week or 2 weeks for the traffic study? And is that typical? Because I thought that the traffic study for the light outside of the Catalina apartments was a longer traffic study. So are we getting an abbreviated one, or is that common?
Not to put you on the spot, but this is more Alan's area of expertise.
Typically on a traffic study, you'll have counts, you'll do traffic counts, and those might only be for 1 or 2 days. The duration of the counts isn't that long. You might do maybe a day or two on through the week and maybe the weekend. And that data is taken with background traffic, which is your existing traffic. So that gives you background traffic existing. That's forecasted based on site generation. Basically, every type of business generates a certain amount of traffic in the tables that are for that. And then they extrapolate that over like a 20-year period. So the traffic impact study, really the duration is just, they just need to get the counts, and the rest of it's putting the study together based on that other sense.
Well, the only thing I would caution is we're sitting outside of a school, we're outside of the school time,
Yeah.
which traffic is completely different at that point. I'm just hopeful Jobs may have somebody may be able to help us, maybe even augment some of those numbers. Maybe something's been done recently, either at 310 and Refugee or, the other direction at Mill, and we can take those numbers and really kind of, this is a longer, Tim's exactly right, there's a longer process to evaluate this than it is to actually take the numbers. Kind of worried, one of my concerns is we're waiting until the third reading to get this information, which I think, quite fair, to be fair, is maybe difficult for the applicant. But I'm concerned that we won't have numbers during school time.
If I'm not sure that they're actually going to provide a full traffic study. Maybe I'm not privy to all the information there, but
They were, from my understanding, they were debating upon whether to do a full traffic study or use the tables.
combined with like Morpsey, I believe, has traffic
Counts.
on their website. They have some traffic studies they've done. There are some traffic counts out there that are used for at least planning purposes. So my guess is they might be using some of those instead of providing a full traffic study, given that it's not required and a full traffic study obviously costs a little bit extra.
Well, that would be, that's why I asked, because I want to see if that's coming out of a book from somebody who sat out there and counted in 2008 for a couple of days, as opposed to how much traffic. I think that's a significant, depending on when the count was.
I agree, and last I spoke with her, that she was going to provide a traffic study, but the depth in which they went into the traffic study is still, I guess on their end, they're still debating upon how much they want to do. Do we contract to get a full one, or do we take information and compile it into a study?
Thank you.
Mr. King?
Well, I'll just say also, with the third reading, it can be tabled to allow additional time to review that stuff.
All right, anything else, Scott?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Chief Brooks?
Thank you, Mayor. If it helps, BJ, just want to let you know that the Sergeant Wrights has kind of volunteered to man the street fair booth.
Great.
So we appreciate the fact that we can have a little bit of room in there, and
Perfect.
we're going to do some community outreach stuff.
Great.
And 2 Saturdays ago, we helped bury Super Braxton, and we had officers from 6 different agencies come out and participate in that. It was really nice. The family was very thankful. That's all I have.
How'd Pelotonia go?
Pelotonia went great. No traffic complaints this year. There was a couple little bike crashes, but nothing major. Nobody got really hurt, and so it was good. They raised over $8 million over the weekend.
Very good.
I have a question.
Yes.
I haven't had a chance to talk to you. How's the shooting range and shed and everything?
The range is good. We're still working on the shed.
Okay. Good. That's exciting.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's great.
Yes, sir.
Chief, I'm glad to hear that the officer from last night's okay. I understand now why the car was where it was. I don't understand why the 2 cars from the other agency were where they were blocking egress from the emergency room for the public. I have no idea what that was about, but the mayor told me about it, so glad to hear he's okay. Thanks.
All right, committee chair reports. Very good. All right. Well, I'll just close real quick by adding that, of course, along with the street fair, we have our street fair parade, which is one of the longest and best in Licking County. And this year, of course, we are featuring as our grand marshals, since it's the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. We have gathered I shouldn't say many. We have gathered quite a few veterans from the Vietnam era, and so many that our Rotary Club, which I belong to, has rented a float to put them on. So make sure that you give them the attention that they deserve, that they didn't get the first time. It's going to be a very exciting day. All right. Let's move on to ordinance 2017-4290 for a second reading.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Barstow,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Hicken. Kathy, when you're ready, second reading.
Ordinance 2017-4290. This is the second reading, an ordinance adopting the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation to deny the zoning request for the property located at 7856 Hazelton Etna Road, Pataskala, Ohio. Parcel number 064-152-988-01.000.
Discussion? Yes, sir.
I just want to echo BJ's comment about both the traffic report and the final water report for this area, being very important, at least for me, to, for the third reading. So just want to put that out there. Hopefully we'll have that and have time to look at it.
And we can table it if we need to, until we get the information that we deserve. Any other discussion? Okay. Ordinance 2017-4292 for a second reading.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Barstow. Seconded by Mrs. Hayes. Kathy, when you're ready.
Ordinance 2017-4292. This is the second reading, an ordinance to revise section 505.11C of the codified ordinances of the city of Pataskala, Licking County, Ohio.
Discussion? Okay, resolution. Motions. Any motions tonight?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to allow camping in Foundation Park on the 12th and the 13th of August. Such approval to include campfires.
Campfires,
Campfires and camping.
sleeping overnight.
Yeah.
Normally for the power show, we do animals, and we don't need to do that. So just camping and campfires.
To include overnight camping and open campfires.
Got a motion?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Carter. Discussion?
Shouldn't we limit that to the people who are going to participate in this? We wouldn't want somebody to just.
I would certainly limit it to the Boy Scout troop.
I wouldn't
yes.
want to have Viking funerals or something in the park. I don't want to be a.
That took all the fun out of it.
Attorneys have
Come on, Todd.
We have a free garage sale weekend. We can have a free campfire weekend, but yeah. You want to amend that to?
I would absolutely add that amendment. And also, I don't know, Mr. Ramsey, if you have any input or, is it something that?
There's going to be one adult per Cub Scout. So they're well regulated. They obviously know fire issues and great thing for the Cub Scouts.
Yes. I guess my part of that amendment would be that they are supervised by adults, that we make sure that they are well supervised. And I don't know what type of, water they have on site to put out something. We've had enough rain in the last, month to probably not have anything that'll catch fire, but just precaution for,
Yeah, they always keep a bucket there of water.
well, just precaution, that they know better than to light a fire in a windy situation, so.
Mrs. Hoskinson, have you kept up with all those? Okay.
So I got a motion
I wanna
that's
hear
been
what that
amended
sounds
and
like.
amended and amended and amended. I need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Hayes. Discussion and
This is an amendment?
To the amendment.
Well, I had my original, and then it was at Mr. Barstow's suggestion, I made the amendment: Viking funerals and such not be allowed, or that it be limited
anything wrong with Viking
to the
funerals.
people that were doing it,
Scouts.
and that I don't know. Do you want the oversight and supervision also confirmed?
To be maintained.
Yep.
Pickens,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Barstow,
Yes, for Viking funerals.
Okay, motion passes. I'll have the language next time prepared. Thank you all.
That was for the amendment.
Okay,
was
that's
the
for the
amendment.
amendment. Okay. Now back to the original motion as amended.
Pickens,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Barstow,
Yes.
Very good. Motion passes. Resolution 2017-053, a resolution authorizing and directing the city administrator to enter into a contract with Prime Engineering to provide construction, administration, and inspection services for the Columbia Road Culvert Replacement Project.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Hayes.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Barstow. Discussion? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm going to put out there again, as this particular engineering firm gets all of the contracts and has a larger and larger piece of our inspection, I am concerned that we're not bidding this out. This was brought up at the beginning of the year that, we weren't bidding these out. We were getting proposals in. While they may be just fine as an engineering firm, they may be doing a great job. Competition is still a good thing, and for a city, it is always good, especially when the contracts grow to, I don't know what the value is, Alan, and I really don't want to know at this point, but the value of all the contracts put together I think it needs to be cautious that we're not doing that. So that's my 2 cents.
Point taken?
Mr. Zetz?
Yes.
Is Dave Yost going to be coming after us? We in trouble?
No.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate Mr.
Viking
Walter's concern.
funeral.
I just-
If a Viking funeral, possibly. This, no.
If he comes after us, there'll be a Viking funeral.
You stole my mutterings.
Uttered by Miss Hayes.
Any other legitimate
turn.
discussion? Kathy, roll call, please.
Walter,
No.
Carter,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Barstow,
Yes.
and Pickens.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 2017-054, resolution of intent to appropriate a 0.021 acre temporary construction easement on 6164 Main Street, parcel number 063-1424410-00.000, located in the city of Pataskala, Licking County, Ohio, for reconstruction of Mink Street.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Barstow,
Second.
seconded by Mrs. Hayes. Discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I just have a question, and this goes for Resolution 55. Have we contacted the affected owners and let
Yes.
them know that this is?
Many times over and over.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Yeah, we're well in the process of,
Yeah.
basically, we weren't able to work things out, so, with the original negotiations, so, this is basically almost toward the end of the process with the property owners, so yeah, they're well aware of what's
I
And
kinda
I'll
thought
just
that, but I-
say that these are the last two of 88
Okay.
that we haven't
I
been able to-
kind of thought that. I just wanted to ask.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's-
thanks.
Yeah.
Mr. Walter?
Is this an appraisal process where we're paying for these temporary easements, or?
Correct.
There is, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we have.
And the appraisals are done at this
Yes,
point?
yeah, we had
Yeah.
appraisals for it, and those are our good faith offers were based on those appraisals, so eventually the take will be based on that appraisal.
Perfect, thank you.
Well, and I'll just add the ODOT process, since this is federal funds, ODOT is managing, it's an appraisal, and then you got to hire somebody to review the appraisal, so it's been through that entire process.
Very good.
All right. Roll call, please.
Carter,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Barstow,
Yes.
Pickens,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 2017-055, a resolution of intent to appropriate 0.112 acres in fee simple, as well as a 0.0006 acre temporary construction easement on 5361 Mink Street, parcel number 063-144-630-00.000, located in the city of Pataskala, Licking County, Ohio, for reconstruction of Mink Street.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Barstow,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Hicken. Discussion?
Would just really quick say that the simple as well as 0.006 acre. I think we threw an extra zero in there, and I didn't want to.
Okay. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
0.006. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Powell,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Barstow,
Yes.
Hicken,
Yes.
Walther,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Resolution passes. Any other motions? Okay, additional citizens' comments. Anybody wish to speak? You have 3 minutes. Okay, seeing none.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 121.22G3 for a conference with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action. B.J. King, City Administrator, Scott Fulton, Planning Director, Mr. Aaron Glasgow, Attorney, and Law Director Brian Zetz are to be invited into the executive session.
Motion for executive session,
Second.
Second.
seconded by Mrs. Carter. We going upstairs?
Yes.
Okay. Kathy, roll call, please.
Hayes,
Yes.
Barstow,
Yes.
Hicken,
Yes.
Walther,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Okay, executive session at 7:51, going upstairs.
Meeting. We seem to have an hour and a half meeting on street committee, so I'm throwing it out there to see if everybody's available for that.
I think I'm free. I don't know. I don't think we're doing anything.
I mean, I can move it up to 5. Could we do 5? I mean, I can do 5 if anybody can do 5.
I can do as early as 3:30. So
Tim, what's good for you?
that's up to you guys.
That is, I take that back. That I have a board meeting for WMAA that night for the Athletic Association. That's not till 7, so I could do a 5. I could do a 4.
Kathy, if we could do 4, and that way we could get Alan and I would be fine with 4 also. And then we're out of here by hopefully 5:30.
That'd be okay with me.
Be great.
Now, we had you down for, I believe, a street committee meeting that third week
I-
of September. Now,
Did we? I'll look that up.
We had it just a standard that you had one.
I would move it to
Well, we found that we can't, we're trying to get, an hour and a half of stuff done in 45 minutes doesn't
You
work
don't
very
want
well.
that one the following.
If we could do it on the off week at 4 p.m., that would be great.
Yeah, that would work.
Thanks, Kathy. That's all I have.
Just wanted to make sure you didn't want 2 meetings back to back.
I appreciate that. No, I do not.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion to adjourn. Mr. Powell, seconded by Mrs. Carter. Discussion and roll.
Hicken,
Yes.
Walther,
Yes?
Carter,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Barstow.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
Don't forget to put your seats down.
It's the safe, fair ride there.